Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in 2 minutes. Excellent
listening
locations are still available all around Showcase Promenade. Due to the use of
alcohol and opinions
around the lagoon, for your safety, we request that you remain on the promenade side of all railings. During the show, please watch your step and take small children firmly by the hand. Once again, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in just 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Diz Explorers podcast, where each week we explore the many avenues of the great Disney universe. This week, we've got a full cast with us, which is always awesome, as I tell you every week when everybody's here. No, I'll change it one time and I'll screw you people up, and then you'll be like, wishing you were really listening at the beginning. So, we're all here. And today we're going to have like it's like a giant infomercial, but better, because it's about Disney stuff. So we are going to talk about DVC, because it's something that's becoming a big part of not just Walt Disney World, but it is present now in Hawaii and in Disneyland as well, and then a few off Disney properties, Hilton Head Island and Vero Beach. Who knows if it'll ever expand to overseas and cruise line. I mean, there's nothing specific on the cruise lines for it, but you can use your points for it. We will get into that a little later on. So it is kind of slowly, I guess, all-encompassing everything, but who knows what their ultimate plans are with it. But anyway, we're going to stick with just kind of the basics. Milford's going to lead the charge on this one. Both him and I are members, DVC members, but he's definitely more well-versed in it, both from the travel agent side and just because he's just better with that stuff than I am. I'm not going to lie. I have no memory retention for numbers and things of that nature, so I can tell you about attractions and music and visual things, but anything else, forget it. Anyway, so we're just gonna run down some stuff, and I know the ladies who aren't DVC members have some questions, and Adrianne has had some experience with it because she did rent some points, so I know she has some stuff she'd like to ask as well. So we're just gonna have a fun conversation about why you should spend all your money and buy into DVC.
So full disclosure, I've been a DVC member since about 2000. We at one point had 2 contracts, though I sold my older contract, which was at Old Key West, to build the house that we live in currently. It ended up being lucrative, and that's why I did that. But we still have 1 contract with 300 points, and we'll go through, what points mean and all those things here in a minute. So one of the biggest questions that everybody asks about DVC is, what's my benefits? You're in Disney Vacation Club, so obviously you're buying a membership, right? Well, the first thing is the value of your points that you get, in the fact that once you buy 300 points, 500 points, 1,000 points, and yes, I know people with more than 1,000 points, and they don't share either. They never change. You get that allotment points every year. Currently, to buy in at Copper Creek, and I just got this message from my friends Christy and Kyle Orth, who are both ASAs with DVC, so I'll explain ASA here in a minute. they had indicated that Copper Creek is currently selling at a point. That's $182. So if you're buying 300 points, that's 300 times 182, and I'm not good at math, so I'm not going to do that right now.
It's a lot.
But it's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
Considering when I bought in 2000, I bought in at $67 a point.
Wow.
So it's really taken off and grown. So the big benefit is that you buy into these points, and if you were to take those points that I'm staying in, so for example, I have 300 points every year. That renews every year. I get those 300 points no matter what. I'm staying in what I call fairly better class hotel rooms than I would be if I was staying in a rack rate room at All Stars or at Port Orleans. Maybe not the deluxe. Deluxes are still pretty nice, but the rooms at DVC are actually a lot bigger. Those Disney hotel rates are going to continue to rise at 5 to 10% a year. So, they're going to go up with inflation. Your points, they're good for a night. 23 points is good for a night this year. 23 points is probably going to still be good for a night next year, and probably the year after that. So you're basically putting a hedge against inflation and buying ahead, basically. Part of your membership also includes that you get discounts at places. So they offer currently discounts at some of the water parks. There's a variety of restaurants that honor the DVC membership with either 10% off lunch, 10% off dinner. So there's that. They have recreational programs and tours at the resorts. There's that.
You don't have to pay for parking.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for parking at the resort like you have to do now at the regular resorts.
Or at the parks.
Or at the parks.
And I believe if you are have a handicap sticker or placard on your car, you do not have to pay. Well, I don't think you have to pay valet anyway. But
you don't have to pay for valet anywhere on property.
Right? That's
if
true.
You have a handicap.
That's not DVC specific, but yeah, that's right.
So members also get a discount on Walt Disney World annual passes.
Yes.
This past year, I got a platinum annual pass. I think it was like $560. I don't know the exact amount I paid. I think it was $560 or something close to that.
That sounds right.
So
it's a nice discount.
Huge value, because that platinum pass, one, doesn't have any blackouts.
Yep.
Two, usually comes with a 20% discount at some of the stores certain times a year, especially at Christmas.
Yep. And that was the renewal rate, though, I think.
No, that was the new rate.
Oh, that was the new rate.
It's a brand new pass this year.
Oh, okay.
That's 25% off. That's insane.
Yeah,
I know.
It's
right.
The discount for that is huge for DVC. That is definitely.
Yeah, that's one of the best things they ever did, was giving us a discount on annual passes.
Yep.
I mean, you have to consider. So we have 300 points. So we have enough points that we can go twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if I book it, if I'm really, really creative in the way I book my points, I can get 3 trips.
Yes.
In a year. So currently the resorts that are in the DVC portfolio is Old Key West, which is the oldest resort on property.
The original
resort on property. Boardwalk Villas, Vero Beach, which is not at Disney. Vero Beach is over south of Cape Canaveral in Florida. Hilton Head Island, which we were discussing, is basically... Damn, remind me which state that is.
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
I've never been there, so sorry. But it's basically, if I remember right, it's on one of the barrier islands, right?
It's on Hilton Head.
It's on Hilton Head Island, yeah.
Okay.
Go
and
figure.
Then there's Boulder Ridge Villas at Wilderness Lodge. There is Beach Club Villas, Disney Saratoga
Someone's
Springs.
kitty is very excited about this.
Yeah.
There's Animal
I
Kingdom
just muted. I'm
Villas.
sorry.
we're interrupting you, Milford. We're really
That's
horrible.
all right.
Kitty, kitty, kitty.
Oh my gosh, she's in heat for the first time, and it's horrible.
no.
We haven't got the fix yet.
Bless
Sorry.
your heart.
Return back.
It's all right. So where were we? Animal Kingdom Live.
Animal Kingdom Villas, which is where
Okay.
my wife and I actually own. Alani, which is in Hawaii, which is on the Oahu Island, and it's in Colina Bay, which is like the southwestmost point in the island. There's Bay Lake Towers, or as we like to call it, the BLT.
Yep.
Villas at Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. Villas at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. And Disney's Polynesian Villas and Bungalows. Coming soon, DVC at Port Orleans and DVC at Caribbean Beach.
Yep.
Those have both been
Really?
confirmed, basically.
At
Yes.
moderate?
Yep.
At moderates, yes. That's the upgrades that they were doing.
Yeah, that's what the big tower at Port Orleans is that they're building.
Right. Which was
And is it Riverside, or did you say? Is it Riverside or French Quarter?
Or I'm sorry, not Port Orleans, Coronado Springs.
Coronado.
Okay.
Coronado.
yes.
Wrong resort, my bad.
Coronado and
Caribbean
Caribbean
Beach.
Beach, yeah.
Which
I've
basically
not
means
heard
Port
anything
Orleans
about-
is next.
Yeah, probably next.
Could be.
Followed by the All-Star, which I
Yeah.
can't wait, right? No.
Oh
Well-
my goodness. They already ruined the beach line at the Poly, so you know.
Well, they'll continue ruining it around the lagoon because there's been stuff going on off the beaches of Fort Wilderness too. So don't be surprised if there's a Fort Wilderness campground DVC site.
Right.
Good grief.
So currently, if you own at Vero Beach, Hilton Head, Old Key West, Boardwalk Villas, Villas Wilderness Lodge, or Beach Club Villas, your membership is good through January 31st of 2042. So you have to understand, this is like buying a timeshare. They're only good for so many years.
49
And then-
years.
Yeah, and then you rebuy in or whatever they want to do with it. It's obvious that they keep refurbing the buildings, so I doubt that they're going to tear them down and they'll just sell new contracts, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would assume after that. Yeah.
They added resorts which had a different end date. Saratoga Springs runs through January 31st of 2054, and then Animal Kingdom Villas through January 2047, Bay Lake Towers and Villas Grand Californian through 2060, Alani through 2062, and Villas at that was Villas at Grand Californian, not Grand Floridian. And then Villas at Grand Floridian run through 2064, and Polynesian through 2066. So you're buying these points for a time frame.
Right. It's I think they're, I don't know why they used 49 as the number, but they're 49-year contracts, so it's from whenever they came online. So obviously the newer ones go so Old Key West was the first one, as Milford said. So that which is hard to believe, and I was saying before we recorded, I had no idea that Vacation Club even existed going down there in the late 90s, because Old Key West opened up in 1996 as the one and only Disney Vacation Club resort when they instituted the program. Or there might have been something else they were using beforehand.
Right.
I should have looked up like the history of the.
But I don't think that 2042 date's right. I think because didn't we all buy in and they extended them to 2047?
They extended, like you said, they extended Old Key West because 1996, 50 years from there would be 2036, right? 2035. So yeah, I think they added on once these other hotels came online and they added them into the program. I believe they added years on. I think 5 years. I guess they added on. To those original ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your points that you get are Excuse me. So let's say you purchased 300 points. Your 300 points is through a use year. So your use year runs from so Animal Kingdom, my use year is August. So every August, I get a new allocation of 300 points. I can bank all of my 300 points this year into next year. I can borrow from next year into this year if I want to.
And you don't necessarily lose the points, but if you don't use all your points before your use year's up, you have to bank them. Otherwise, you will lose them.
Well, but most of the banking is 4 months prior to your end of your use year, too.
Yeah, there's a big window they give you.
Yeah, so I'm an August use year. Mine, I have to bank by March 31st.
Right, because I think...
what I just did tonight.
I think, and the difference between this and, regular timeshares, I believe it's use it or lose it.
Use it or lose it,
right.
Yeah.
And also, a major difference is there's no set time you have to go with DVC. You can choose any week, any days available throughout the whole calendar year. So where with traditional timeshares, it's you buy a week. You buy your week, and that's the same week you go every year, or as long as you have the timeshare. And there's really not much variance in between with stuff like that. So with this, you have ultimate flexibility as long as there's availability at where you are trying to stay. So that's a huge perk with this program. For sure. And you would think with the amount of resorts that Milford listed that it would be fairly easy to get your pick of whatever, but it's not.
Right.
It's not. You have... I'll mention it. I'll let Milford go into a little bit of detail on it. So when you book using your points, you have to go... DVC has its own site, its own set of phone number, and it's dedicated just for that. So you have to use Disney's official DVC contacts and operators to book those resorts. You cannot use a travel agent. You can't use any third-party booking agents or anything else. It's strictly through Disney, and that's it. So you have what's called booking windows. So if you wanted to stay... We'll use Milford's example. So he's got 300 points. He wants to stay at Animal Kingdom. So we are in March now. So he can book. He can book as far away as next February at his home resort. Like he said before, he bought into Disney's Animal Kingdom, so that's his home. So he can book there 11 months out from when he wants to go, and hope that there's availability. If there's none there, he then has to wait to the 7-month mark to book at any one of the other properties any other DVC property. So if he had, now for using myself as an example, I have, my parents bought into DVC and were luckily, and I am luckily enough that they added my brother and myself to their contracts. So we have rights and booking rights and can use the points and everything else. And my father, like Milford, has quite a bit at the Animal Kingdom villas. That's what he bought through Disney. He has since, over the years, bought resale points at 4 of the other resorts. So he has 4 different homes he can book through. So if he can't get his first choice, he has a second, a third, and a fourth that he can try at 11 months out. And then that also opens up the window for his 7th month options, because then he has a wealth of other resorts to be able to choose from. So it's nice to have flexibility. And then we'll get into some of the differences between buying through Disney and then buying through resale markets, because there are differences, obviously, in cost, but then in what benefits and perks you get to use now, because stuff has changed over the past 2 years with things like that. But so just try not to get too far ahead here, but so for like booking your thing, you have 11 months to think ahead, to try to plan stuff and use your points however you see fit. Different weeks of the year. I mean, as with booking for cash rooms, there are seasons for DVC rooms too. Peak seasons, holiday seasons, value, spring break. it's very similar to the regular Disney calendar. I believe there may be a few differences between the DVC and the, but other than that, it's
not much.
Not much. It's pretty much the same thing, you know. So all the you know, spring break weeks, holiday weeks are obviously going to be your highest point values and hardest to get into. You know, the website, the DVC website is actually very well laid out and full of a ton of information. And the operators that you call and talk to are like anything else. 90% of the time, you're getting somebody who knows anything and everything and can help you every way possible. Yep. So it's, you know, it's wealth of information out there on it, because it does get confusing. I admit, you know, has been a member since about the same time, 2000, and I know very little about the ins and outs of it, other than physically, you know, actually booking the things and which resorts, and I know which ones we like and which rooms were great and some of the perks, but I don't know the wealth of stuff that to just rattle everything off, like the ins and outs of it. It still is kind of confusing to me sometimes, but
yeah. And the one nice thing about the points is the points are going to be the same every year within that season. If they decide that they're going to change the points, let's say they decide that Friday night and Saturday night points value needs to go up, then the points during the week have to come down to match it.
Right.
They have to balance. They can only charge so much a week. That's in their contract with all the owners. Right. So how do you know how many points to purchase? I'm sure people are probably thinking that question. It's going to be different for every person. It's going to be based on your habits for vacation. It's going to be based on how many times a year you want to go. You know, I have 300 points. We try to go twice a year. Sometimes we can get 3 trips in, depending on when we book and what points it costs us. I will say that you can get a decent trip for as little as 150 points.
Yep. And
still be able to go every year. So, as a matter of fact, I believe for new owners, I think that's the minimum they can buy is 150 points, if I remember correctly.
That's what I saw.
I think
now,
so, yeah.
I'm seeing...
Now add-ons are different.
Right.
I don't know what that means.
Well, so like I own 300 points at Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I can do what's called an add-on, and I can add on 50 points at any resort.
Right.
And then that counts that now I have an 11-month booking window for that resort.
So does that give you 350 points you can use at that other resort too, or just the 50?
No, it gives me basically your points all get lumped together, and you have to do some funny things with transferring points between contracts in order to make it work. But DVC works with you to make that happen. So
essentially, that gives you 2 home resorts for the 11th month.
Exactly. So that's like RJ was saying with his dad. His dad kind of has that same thing going on. So.
Right.
It's fantastic. So they've got like 5 home resorts.
Is that how y'all got the poly for your one that's coming up? Isn't it coming up?
He even doesn't know how he got the poly. It was just luck, because it's just so popular, because it's with all the refurb and everything's new and nice and fresh. Even though, you know, Grand Floridian kind of came after it, even though Copper Creek is the newest one, but you know, Polynesian is still one of people's favorite resorts on the property. So, and there's only 2 longhouses that they converted to DVC, so it's not like there's a ton of rooms.
Right.
Yeah, he had to borrow points from next year to be able to do this one, and actually the points weren't even that bad. I can't remember what he said it was for the week, but there's quite a bit of us traveling, so I think he's got 3 studios for him and my mother, and then one of my kids will stay in their room, and then a studio for my wife and myself, my other 2 kids, and then my brother's family is in a 3rd one. So, and it was cheaper doing that than getting like a 3-bedroom or like a 2-bedroom with a lock off, because then now everybody just has their own space, and those are harder to come by, those other ones, unless you get into some of the bigger resorts like Old Key West, just because it's such a bigger.
Right.
The rooms are huge there. We were talking before we recorded. They're just gigantic. It literally is like going into a house of how huge those rooms are. Even, you know, like Bay Lake Tower too. Those rooms are they're all pretty much the same size in all the resorts. The newer ones, I think they've tried to make them a little bigger. Bay Lake Tower, I felt like the room was, we had a 2-bedroom when we stayed there one time. We pooled like everything together. My brother's points, my father's points, and we had this grand 2-bedroom with the castle view, with the whole, I mean, ridiculous. It's great to do once, but it's such an absurd amount of points. That was, plus it was holiday time. It was the week between Christmas and New Year, so it was like some ridiculous amount of points. But,
Right.
you know, waking up and looking out and seeing, you know, the Space Mountain and the Tomorrowland entryway thing spinning and glowing all night long because those lights don't shut off, you know, nights when the kids were too shot and we weren't there, you're watching Wishes right from there or up on the observation deck. So it does, you know, membership has its privileges, as they say. And definitely take advantage of them. But yeah, like Milford was saying, it depends on what you do and how much time you spend in the resorts. You can get just the studios, which is basically like a normal size room. You know, it sleeps 5. It's usually got 2 full beds or 2 queen beds and then a pull-out queen couch. And you've got 1 bathroom, a closet, and stuff like that. There's no laundry facilities in those rooms, which is, you kind of get spoiled if you stay in the 1-bedrooms because there's a laundry machine, washer and dryer right in the room, which is awesome. So it's less packing. You know what I mean? You can. It's. I mean, the DVC resorts do have laundry facilities on every floor. You don't have to go to a separate building like you do in many of the other non-DVC resorts, so it is convenient. It's still there. You still have to go out of your room to do it, but at least it's not going schlepping across and going like most of them are near the pools.
Yeah.
And having to deal with that. You can still go throw your stuff in, go back to your room, go down to the bar, whatever, and come back. It's not a big deal, but
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of going back. You talked about benefits at the beginning. When I was researching it last night, most of the benefits that were listed on the website had nothing to do with like shopping or dining or whatever. It was all about these special DVC member events.
yes.
What are those?
Those are fun. So they do.
You'll have to speak to that because I've not ever been to one. They never scheduled them when we're there.
I got lucky and we went once to the DVC 25 event. One of them they were doing at Animal Kingdom last year when my wife and I happened to be there. So my father was able to call and get us a reservation to go into the park after night. So they do a lot at the they call them Moonlight Magic now. So it was fun. You kind of had your run of the mill of the park. So it was from park. They closed the park earlier, I think, for regular. So maybe the park closed at 6 that night or 7, and it ran till midnight. I believe it was 7 to midnight. So I believe it was a 5-hour thing. Pretty much the whole park was open at Animal Kingdom. All the major attractions were open because I know we did a nighttime safari, like nighttime, like it was dark with like they have the simulated sunset lights that however they do that is amazing. I have no clue how they do it, but it was amazing. And it was awesome because the nocturnal animals, you see beady eyes glowing everywhere. It was really, really cool. And that park's gorgeous at night too. I know we talked about that last week's episode, so I'm not going to get into that again. And they sell out quick because it's like limited numbers. So that's the only one I have experience with. But I know the Magic Kingdom ones, I know plenty of people who have gone to those and they've been a ton of fun. They seem to do more of those. So I guess they've already done 3 for this year. So the Magic Kingdom ones I guess are done. So I guess there's Animal Kingdom ones that one just happened and there's one in April and one in May. And those are all sold out. They do ones at the water park. I guess Typhoon Lagoon's hosting one. Epcot ones are during Epcot ones are during the summer. And there's a Studios are in the fall. California Adventures doing theirs in November. As I'm looking online now. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and they had special pins and maps and that kind of swag. There's plenty of DVC cast members out more than normal you could chat with and talk with. Special characters for meet and greets were out. I know at Animal Kingdom, I know Flick is usually out, but they had Flick and Princess Ada was there, and the stick bug, his name escapes me, was them. They were meeting all together. Some other, I can't remember. There were some other like rare characters that they'll only roll out for stuff like that. I don't know that there was any special food or anything. I think we ate at Pizza Safari because that was what was open. But it's just the experience of being in the park with next to nobody. Nobody's there. I mean, you can. The Safari by far had the longest line, and we did that first. It's all standby. There's no fast passes.
Right.
That they book.
So like a party or...
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. But not as near as many people as like the Halloween or the Christmas party. I mean, Animal Kingdom is huge anyway, but like I said, we waited in the line for the Safari, and I think that's about the only ride we did. We had planned on doing Everest, but we were just too tired. But we just did a lot of just like hanging around and just checking out the park and speaking with people and, talking with other members and stuff. So it's just real chill and relaxed. It's probably
But you just get a reservation time. It's not an added cost. So it's not like a hard
it's not an
ticket
added cost.
event.
You just have to reserve your time there. No added cost at all.
Okay.
It's part of membership. That's why they
Yeah,
do it.
not for those.
Not for those. But they're a lot of fun. I'm not sure what other events they do.
Yeah, so I'm actually logged in looking. There's 362 different things
I'm in that too, yeah.
that you could do between all the resorts, and that's including Alani and Vero Beach and Hilton Head and Grand Californian and California. I mean, there's things like save 10% on an Amphicar ride.
Right. There's a lot of discounts, I
There's
think.
a lot of discounts in here. There's a lot of, different shopping options.
Right.
Vera Bradley, spend $100, get one item monogram for free. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here.
Yeah. Splitsville does a member night.
Yeah.
At the lanes where I think they rent it out. They have the lounge now. They have the DVC member lounge that's at Epcot now, up in the old Image Works on top of Journey into Imagination. So you show your membership and you go up there, and there's a billion charging stations. There's free snacks. There's a help desk, and it's just a place to go and relax. Great views of the park. I mean, if you
Coca-Cola freestyle machine.
Freestyle machines. It's just cool. It's just a cool place to go and hang out. And for, geeks like me who were up there when it was actually the Imageworks and the cool playground, it's just like a, step back into my childhood, even though all that other stuff is walled off, that if they even have anything left there. But it's just cool to go up there and look through the pyramids and hang out and charge your phone and anything else. They don't advertise a ton of this stuff. I mean, you do get you get the Disney Files magazine every quarter, I believe.
Yeah, every quarter.
Members. So I believe it does list some stuff on that, but there is things that you could probably just go online to figure out, because a lot of this stuff I never even knew was here. I see there's a Mother's Day brunch they're doing, and member tours at Epcot, soaring around the world. Yeah, there's a ton of different stuff that they do. So you just have to look into it.
And then, there's a component to this on top of this that most people don't realize is I don't have to use my points just at Disney. I actually get access to RCI's complete catalog of accommodations that I can trade my points out for to use. So if I want to go stay at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, that's one of the options I can take. I can trade my points out and go stay at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island if I want.
What's that transfer like? I mean, is it just as cost effective?
I believe it is, yes. I've not actually done it yet. And I don't know very many people that have. I know one person that did the trip that I just mentioned, and that was staying at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. And the way they explained it to me is it was seamless. There's no transfer cost. It's just you go online and through RCI and do what you want, and they exchange the points and they take care of it for you.
And expanding some of these things just to give some more information on some of these member benefits. I guess not all of them are included. So I clicked on the shocker, the beverage tasting series, which I didn't realize they did. So
Yeah.
there's Tuesday and Thursday classes pretty much all year round. You have to sign up ahead of time, but it's $40 a person, which is fine. It's not like you're bringing your kids. So the week that I'm going to be there in April, there's a liquor bourbon flight testing. And this is all at the Top of the World Lounge.
At the top of the world,
which is an awesome place to go and hang out, I will say. So I may have to try to. It's probably sold out now, but there's
you have to go back and see Abby.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's beer tasting, vodka, wine tasting, the Disney family wine tasting, mixology classes. So you just got to, like I said, I didn't know this stuff. A lot of this stuff even existed, and it's just
you can save money on a round of golf.
Yeah, you can save money by not even bothering.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yes, you can save money on golf. Yeah, and as far as like Adrian, what you were saying about like the shopping discounts and the eating discounts, that stuff is just kind of listed in like the apps and stuff, because you can find the list of the restaurants that take the DVC discounts. Usually, it's all the same ones that take the AP discount.
Right, it seems similar.
It is very similar. It's just the DVC is 10%, whereas the
I'll put out a link that's one that I use. It's actually off of Deb's All-Ear site.
Yeah, that's what
she has a comparison of dining discounts, and it gives every restaurant that has discounts and whether they take DVC, AP, Tables in Wonderland, or if there's a Visa discount.
Right, and which one would be the most beneficial? They're pretty much all the same across the board now. There's a few now because they're doing the select restaurants with 20% for the AP. Mm-hmm. For if you have the Platinum Plus one, which they used to do that all the time. If you had the better AP pass, you did get 20% off of dining. It's most dining and also merchandise, like at most of the major shopping places, Emporium, Mouse Gear, Hollywood and Vine, Creature Comforts, or Island Mercantile and Animal Kingdom.
Right.
You pretty much just got to ask. Most cashiers ask now, do you have anything? But, I mean, even at the little kiosks, if you're buying something silly like a light-up wand or those spray fans, if you ask, most of them will take it. You know, do you have a DVC discount, AP, anything, Chase thing, they'll take the 10%
right.
At most of those kiosks, as well as the major retailers. You just got to ask, because not all of them will offer it to you. So
I think the last thing we were going to talk about was the difference between buying from Disney as opposed to buying resale.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a couple places you can go outside. There's the timeshare sale. There's DVC resales. There's the timeshare store that you can buy resale DVC contracts. You will pay a little less, but there's a catch. There are things that you're going to miss out on. So all those discounts we just talked about, because I forget, RJ, they don't actually send you a membership card when you buy a resale now, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I don't believe so. It's been a while since I know my father has gotten anything, and if he's gotten stuff, it's just been add-on stuff or tacking on to what he already has. So, and now they've actually made the site a lot easier, because the way it used to be was each contract, or not each contract, but each transaction had to have like a different login and stuff, so it was a giant pain in the ass to go in if you were moving points around. So at one point he had 3 or 4 different usernames and IDs, and over the past couple of years they have now streamlined everything, and it's one ID to get in, and it lists all your contracts, whether they're from Disney or not, and all your points and everything. So it's much easier to move stuff around. But years ago it was really, really difficult there was a lot of double screen and using your phone for one, and it was much easier to just call, because then they can just pull everything up and do it that way. Now you can kind of do everything online, but
yeah,
I think, and a lot of those changes that Milford just said just came into effect within the last year. So if you had bought up until even with resale, I think up until 2014.
Yeah, I think it was 14.
Then you were grandfathered in, and you did receive all those perks. You were able to do like the Moonlight Magic and stuff like that. But so now, anything that you buy now, if it's not through Disney, you don't get any of that stuff. You don't get any of those perks at all.
You'll still be able to book through any DVC resort and the RCI exchanges, but you can't use your points for Disney Cruise, Adventures by Disney, Concierge Collection, or any of the other non-DVC Disney resorts.
Right.
Okay, so what if you went through Disney and bought the minimum, say 100 at Copper Creek, and then I went on a resale website and bought 200 points for Hilton Head or Vera Beach or Old Key West, the ones that are cheap.
Well, I mean, at that point, you've got a contract that's got DVC.
Right.
So I get all the perks, all the Disney perks.
Right.
But then I've essentially given myself 300 points that I could use at Copper Creek at 11 months or anywhere else at 7.
Correct, because everything gets pooled together and lumped together.
Or can be.
Or can be, right. So, yes, you are correct on that. So as long as you have any sort of contract.
One Disney contract.
Yes, then you are allowed all the benefits and to have full access to everything. So, and stuff you add on afterwards, it's just considered you're adding it on to your add-ons into your pooling, right? Who knows if that'll change over the years? I doubt it, but as they add more and more stuff with these other resorts coming online and things of that nature, then as long as they keep opening up new stuff for people to buy, then they have to honor people buying off of resale as well.
And understand, just because you're buying resale, you still have to pay maintenance dues.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's you got to read up on it. You got to make sure you're using sites that are those ones that Milford mentioned are probably the best ones to use, because you don't want to, because Disney doesn't honor any, like if you get screwed on it or if it's a bad thing, Disney doesn't help you out at all because you're not buying through them. So
right. All right, and then here's my next question. If you have all right, hang on. The question totally just left my mind as we continue to talk. I hate when that happens.
Happens more than not with me. So.
Okay. So you guys that have had them for years, have you found that your points are worth less now than they were 7 or 8 years ago? Meaning, can you get fewer vacations or stay fewer days with the same amount of points?
No.
Given all the price increases that we've seen.
No, because point values
they don't change.
For booking don't change. You can still get rooms. You can get rooms at Animal Kingdom on like off peak, even like for food and wine and stuff for like 9 points a night, like Tuesday, Monday through Thursday, and then on the weekend it may jump up to 12 or 13, 14, but you can still get get in, and that's for a studio. You can get in.
They set those points like a Tuesday night in the middle of April at Animal Kingdom Lodge is going to be 12 points, no matter what, from now until 2042.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So so I guess maybe I missed that part, but I remember it now that I'm talking about it. So you did say that you're kind of betting against inflation.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much. And as you depending on how long you financed them for, when you've paid it off, once you're done paying some of this stuff off, then you're really winning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because then your maintenance fees never go away. So you're going to pay those every year. But when you're done paying, you're paying it off. Like it's like paying off a mortgage, more or less. And then you're just paying your maintenance fees per month. Then it's like then you're really taking advantage of everything. So
because it's like we saw at the Copper Creek ones, it's what, $70 a month, depending on how many points you've purchased.
Correct.
Okay,
so
that's
on 100 points. Yeah.
So
I guess I didn't explain that part.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Like $900 a year, as long as you have booked one. If you book 1 week, you've financially come out on top.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, like right now, my maintenance dues right now are. Oh, I just had it sitting here.
See, and that's my other question. Like, if you have 17 contracts, then how much are you paying a month?
You're paying 17 different maintenance dues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all and they're all
Maybe you have a tax
they're all
deductible. Like,
You get to write off, well, on your federal, at least for right now, you get to write off your the property taxes you pay. So part of what's here, I'll just go through this. So here's my annual notice for my annual due statement. So I have 300 points at Animal Kingdom. My estimated property taxes, or my portion of my estimated property taxes for the year of 2017, was $433. My actual property taxes were $414. So I actually get $19.23 back.
Yep.
The operating budget for 2018 was $1,292.49 for my portion. That's $4.30.83 per point for 2018. And then there's also a reserve fund, which was 0.9557 per point. And then my estimated property taxes for 2018 were $447.75, so that comes out to $1,4925 per point. So my annual dues for 2018 are $2,007.72. I pay them monthly, so that gets divided by 12, and they take whatever that is, 100 and, well, I'd have to do the math.
so are your annual dues like an escrow, paying your property taxes, or are those two separate things?
No, the annual dues are part of your property. The property taxes are part of your annual dues.
It's all lumped in.
But,
Gotcha.
I mean,
Okay.
like, I take that $414.48 and I write it off on my federal taxes because it's
Okay.
Right.
property
Good to hear.
tax I
It's
pay.
property tax, yeah.
Now, I can't also take it on my state because my state says I can't take out property tax for something that wasn't my primary
In your
home.
state.
Right.
Right. But that's basically how the annual dues work. And those dollar amounts for that maintenance fee for the basically the upkeep of the resort are different per resort.
Yes.
Right.
Alani was the most expensive. It's now no longer the most expensive. I can't remember who's the most expensive now. Do you remember, RJ?
I don't. It's probably.
I thought it was Polynesian.
I think it may be because of the bungalows.
Yeah. So, and then there's another catch with Alani too. So just because you book a room at Alani, you also have to pay a Hawaiian
Roller coaster ride.
occupancy tax. So on top of whatever the value of your points were, you pay an occupancy tax to the state of Hawaii when you stay. So like my stay last March was like another $100 or something.
Oh.
It's the one exception to the whole rule that you didn't have to pay cash for anything that you booked. So
Interesting.
one of the things you don't get if you buy a resale is you don't get access to some of those discounts, and you don't get access to that annual pass discount for sure.
No.
Right. That's the biggie, it seems.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is
it's
the
huge,
biggie.
especially with all the price increases.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that saved you $200
Yep.
Yep.
right there.
So I mean, so if you think about it, so annual passes. So what's the general rule for an annual pass? Kind of like if you buy those length of stay things they used to do, or whatever, park hoppers. Anything after like your 10th day, then it's what, $20 a day technically to
Right.
get in the gate. So with the annual pass, it's $600 with the thing. You go same thing. You go more than 8 days, and you're ahead
Right.
of time. And then if you're
Definitely.
staying, on points, and you go 3 times a year, I mean, you're coming by that third trip. It's basically getting yourself there.
Right.
Is what it's costing you, because then it's not costing you anything. And if you're smart with your points, like Milford said, like I know, like because for this Polynesian one, and we knew a lot of us were going. My father they had I think banked some points from last year, and I think he took some points from one of the ones this year just to have it, because then I know him and my mother are going down again in the fall, and they wanted to stay in their home resort, so he didn't want to touch those. So you play the game and you do the numbers thing, that's the part that I'm horrible at. So that's the stuff that he's good at. So it's just.
But I mean, legitimately, I'm looking at the David's DVC rental where we always rent from. You can stay a week in the middle of January at Animal Kingdom Lodge for 50 points.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's downtime, and Animal Kingdom is one of the cheaper ones just because of its location. You think it would be more because of the animals and everything else, but it's not.
But it's the cheapest.
That and Old Key West are the cheapest two to stay at. Saratoga has some good rates. Saratoga usually always has rooms because it is the largest resort. Room-wise, it has the most rooms.
That same week at Boardwalk is 63.
Because you can walk to 2 resorts.
Right, but I'm saying
and that's not bad.
Still really cheap.
That's really
compared to Grand Floridian at 105.
But I guarantee there's no availability at Boardwalk.
Right.
Because that's hard to get to. It's hard to get into. Animal Kingdom there's usually a lot of rooms there. And you got to be careful because with each individual resort you kind of got to do your homework too. So now Animal Kingdom Lodge, they have the upper 2 floors in the Jumbo House, the original building, are the DVC floors.
Right.
So now
you have Kidani.
Well, they built the whole Kidani, and then that's what I was going to say. So you have Kidani Village, which is strictly DVC, unless you want to pay the insane cash values for it. The thing I don't like about that add-on and the Bay Lake Tower add-on is there is no food service specific for that wings, for those new resorts. So for Kidani Village, if you want to go get quick something to eat or anything, you have to walk back over. Now they have a shuttle. You have to go back over to the Mara at the main building.
Yeah. And
get food there. Same thing with Bay Lake Tower. You got to walk across the bridge and go to the Contempo Cafe to get any sort of food. There's literally nothing, maybe except vending machines on each floor. So that part is a little aggravating to me.
Unless you're at the pool.
Right, well, because they have the pool service bars, right.
Yeah, you can get food at the pool.
But if you're waking up in the morning and you like to grab something at the hotel, at the resorts before you hit the parks, you got to go over to the main. I mean, Bay Lake Tower, you have to go over there anyway to catch the monorail, But
I will say, the last time we were at Kidani, Sanaa, I don't know if they still do because it's been a year since we were in Kidani, but Sanaa does the quick service breakfast, which also has grab and go. Is it still going? I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know.
I think they just started that, right?
Yeah, because when we stayed there, they did not offer that.
March of 2017, we did it then.
It's been quite a few years since we stayed at Kidani because number 2, the last time we were there, we were like all the way at the extreme end of the horseshoe, so it was like a 1,000,000-mile walk to get to the thing. So as cool as it was, I wasn't. It wasn't. I like staying in Jumbo House, and actually, when Milford
learning to be more strategic with my room requests.
Yeah, when Milford when I roomed with Milford when we went in September last year with a bunch of our buddies, we had a great room. There was stuff. I mean, you weren't overlooking the savannah, but there's still, the lookout that you can go to off the main lobby where they do the fire pit and everything else. I mean, and I, every morning I could woke up and you saw them feeding the animals. The giraffes were out at night, and the bighorn steer and everything else. So you still see them. It's just Kidani. You're literally everything is right there. Mm-hmm. But it's more or less the same savannah. Just you're looking at it from a different side when you're in Jumbo House.
Yep.
So that's where like the Polynesian is. Even though there's only 2 longhouses, you still have all the amenities right there. You walk up to the Great Ceremonial House, and you have Captain Cook's, you have Kona Cafe, you have Ohana, everything's right there. So you have your quick serve and you have your sit down. So that's a definite perk for that. Same thing with the Grand Floridian. You have everything that's in the lobby there, right at your doorstep, more or less, because those, the DVC things are right there. Yeah, and as well as with Wilderness Lodge too, because you got. I don't think the Geyser Point doesn't open for breakfast, but still, you're right outside of the main lobby and the main building there to go in for Whispering Canyon and Artist Point. Or no, is that it? Artist Point.
Artist Point.
So, that's the only downfall I didn't like about those 2, Bay Lake Tower and Kidani, that they didn't make and now if they're doing that at Sanaa, then that's great. But Bay Lake Tower definitely has nothing. Because even the Top of the World Lounge, I think they get food gets run up from the kitchen in the cafe through like a dumbwaiter service.
Yeah.
They don't have a kitchen up there. So when you can order appetizers and stuff off of that menu, but they're bringing it in from somewhere else on the resort property. Just got to do your research, do your homework. You know, like Adrian just said, you know, be strategic about where you want your room, and especially some of these bigger, expansive resorts. Like Old Key West is a huge property. It has an internal running bus, so does Saratoga. So if you don't, you know, first timers, if you're not saying, oh, you know, look at the map, you know, see where the bus stops are, and try to gauge which building you want to stay in. Because if you get caught walking, you know, you could get off at the main area or even one of the bus stops and still be, you know, which it's not the end of the world, but at the end of an 18-hour day in the parks, another 15 minutes to get to your bed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes sucks.
So I will say, you know, if you know, after listening to this, you're interested in DVC, there's, you know, my wife and I bought DVC sight unseen. We bought it without visiting a preview center. We had friends that lived here in Indiana that kind of got us turned on to it and talked to us about it, and that's how we bought in. Our second contract, we did visit the preview center because we wanted the free ice cream.
Yes.
Anyway,
take the tour.
You know, you can always ask. You know, they have these wonderful people in the parks. They're called ASAs, Advanced Sales Associates. My good friend Kyle and his wife Christy Orth are both ASAs in the park, and I always make a point to go visit them whenever I can. And another friend of mine is actually a Disney Vacation Club guide. His name's Mike Kay, and he actually works in the preview center there at Saratoga Springs. So they're not afraid to answer questions, and it's a no pressure sale. I mean, obviously they have lots of people buying this thing, so
yeah, that's for sure.
And if you visit with them in the park, they will arrange transportation from the park to the preview center and then back. And I don't know if they're still doing it, and he didn't answer me back. For a while there, if you went and visited, they actually were giving you fast passes back on your Magic Band that were basically freebie Magic Band fast passes that you could use anywhere except for Pandora.
Of course.
Of course. And I'm sure come June 30th, they won't be good for Toy Story Land either.
That's right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure maybe they still do that, but I'm not positive. I haven't.
Yeah, I can't remember if they do or not. But I know they were doing that for a while. So.
Yep. Yeah, because they take you out for a couple hours when you're going to visit. So it's not like it's 20 minutes and like they're showing a house. Like you're going. I think it's like a 2-3 hour thing, depending on it. I'm not sure which properties they take you to. It may just be the new property because it's technically all the other ones are sold out unless you buy resale. So Copper Creek is the only one that's still available, and Alani through Disney, but they're not putting you on a plane to take you to Alani. So
Darn it.
You can ask, but I don't know what answer you're gonna get. And if you go with your kids, they always have cool stickers. Or if you're a giant kid like me, you ask for the stickers anyway.
I think I came home. We were in the Polynesian one time, I think, and we walked by, and I think they sent my kids. It must have been like they were ready to go home. I don't know what was going on, but literally a whole roll. Like they just rolled it off, and we were like, "Thank you. I needed 800 Mickey Mouse stickers."
I still have a roll, and we just found it from my oldest, who is now 13. His first haircut he was just about a year old at the barbershop in Main Street, and the lady, to keep him entertained, stuck stickers all over him so he wouldn't see what the hell was going on, and then proceeded to give us like an entire roll. And we just found what was left of it cleaning out one of our cabinets. I was like, holy crap. I'm like, we can never use these.
Yeah.
Because I have a ton of those stickers, the DVC ones and the special ones and the fancy ones they hand out, and I don't ever stick them on anything. They just sit in like my little collection of Disney paraphernalia. Yes, I need help.
It's okay.
Yeah, we all do.
If you knew how many buttons I had at my house.
I keep them with the napkins and the plates and the popcorn containers that I take home with me because they don't make the nice ones anymore. Hey, listen, if they still made the fancy napkins for Halloween with the bats on them, with Mickey in a vampire outfit, and the Christmas ones with all the ornaments and stuff on it, I wouldn't have to hoard this stuff. But
I'm just brokenhearted that the little shampoos don't have Mickey Mouse ears on them anymore.
Right?
Still recovering from that.
Yeah, well,
I still have some of those.
Recover further because they're going to get rid of the little bottles in your room.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're moving to dispensers.
Saratoga Springs is the next victim on the list. I just heard that today.
Well,
Unfair and unsanitary.
Sucks, but
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It's nasty.
it's terrible.
gross.
Yeah.
I have so many of those things at home, and I don't know why we don't use them. They just sit in a giant bags in the vanity under the sink in the bathroom.
If you have any of the sea salt lotion, send them my way.
Oh yeah, no, those are good.
I got tons of that stuff.
You have ooh.
You mean from the cruise line?
Yes, or from the Contemporary.
Yeah, we don't use it fast enough.
I need some lotion.
I'll look and see what I got. I bet we've got a few extra.
Oh, that lotion is the best.
I bet we've got a few extra 100.
Or two.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't tell you on this last cruise last month.
Uh-huh.
I was taking them off the shelf and hiding them in my bag every time
Right.
they replenished them, right?
Yeah, why
She
not?
kept
as a
giving
good
them to
guest
us.
would, yes.
So the night before we get off the boat, my wife asked her for some, and she brings back this bag full of shampoos, conditioners, and lotion. And I'm like, oh my god!
Best stateroom host ever.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she got an extra tip.
Heck yeah.
I tip early for extras.
Right?
Oh yeah.
It's like I know who I'm asking for the next time I go on the fantasy as my stateroom host.
Exactly. Oh.
Well, I learned a lot.
Good, I'm
I'm
glad.
still
Cool.
terrified of the initial cost, but I learned
Yeah,
no,
it is a
it's-
bit terrifying compared to, just,
But-
17
I mean,
years
look at
ago.
it this way.
it was
Your
6,
kids are
7 a
young,
point.
though.
that's
Your
true.
kids are young, and in another 10 years, you're going to look fondly back at today's prices.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, without a doubt.
So, look at it that way.
I mean, if I went back and actually looked at what it would have cost us to do those Disney trips we did with the kids all those years and not had DVC, I'd probably throw up.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's what I think about that too. All the times we went and even until we bought, but we were staying, value, but still, and for the most part, always had annual passes, but still, it wasn't, and we weren't going at the frequency that any of us go now. It was once a year. That was it. Maybe my parents would go down a second time, just the two of them, but my brother and I never went more than once a year. And it wasn't until after I got married that the multiple trips started. And go figure. And then when I had kids, and then it was multiple trips. And when I had less money to spend, I started going more. So I don't understand how that worked or what happened. It was DVC. That was honestly the reason why. My wife and I always had annual passes, and we'd go down as a family with the kids and my parents and brother and everybody else, and then my wife and I would sneak away for 5 days or this, that, and the other thing, and the kids would stay with grandparents, and it cost, and that's when flights were cheap. JetBlue from up, New York airports. There's a little airport, Westchester County, and you could get $69 red-eye flights at JetBlue down to Orlando. So I mean, it literally cost us nothing to go down there except for eating, and we're not big, when we're not with the kids, we don't buy souvenirs. So food and booze is all it would cost me going down there. I mean, so you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, you're going to Disney World again? I'm like, yeah, but it's only costing me a plane ride, and people can't fathom that.
Well, we feel the same almost now with renting DVC because it's so inexpensive.
Yeah.
That they're like, really, again? And I'm like, legitimately the cheapest vacation I can take right now.
Like, I would almost, I said it jokingly to somebody, I don't know who I was talking to, and I was like, if I was going down and I couldn't get, even though I'm already am a DVC member, but if I really, really wanted to stay at, like, say, the Polynesian or the Boardwalk for a certain, like, during Food and Wine or whatever at the Boardwalk, and there was no availability, I would be the insane person that would consider, all right, I'm just going to rent points for, like, 4 days because I want to stay at Boardwalk. Even though because I've stayed at Saratoga many times only because that's been the only option if we've done other trips, but I honestly just don't care for that resort, and I've stayed there because I'm not going to pay for something else. But crap, I
like the resort. I just don't care for the poor bus service they have.
The bus service is horrible. Yeah, there's just no theming, and I could care less for horses or Saratoga Springs, New York. I just whatever.
Yeah, I know.
It's near me. It's it's kind of in my area. It's kind of in my area, so it's. I mean, it's a couple-hour drive for me to get to upstate New York, but it's close enough where it's like, I don't need to go down to Florida for it. I want palm trees and tropical stuff. But anyway. All right, well, thank you, Milford, for all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if anybody has any questions, obviously reach out to us on all of our social media things. I can't think of the right word because it's late.
Tweets and Facebooks and Instas
and everything else. So if you have any questions, obviously, and if you want to pick our brains or Milford's brain about any of it, and Adrianne, like I said, we said in the beginning, has used the Rent-A-Points, so she does have experience in that. So if you have questions about that route, feel free to get in touch with her. And that's it. I can't think of anything else. Follow everybody's blogs. I haven't said that in like a year. Follow everybody's blogs. Follow all the blogs.
Follow us.
Except mine. I don't have one. You people hear enough of me every week, so you don't need to read my nonsense. You have to listen to it. So with that, we're gonna wrap this episode up. We thank everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
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 Follow our troupe at www.dizexplorers.com, where you can find all the links for all our hosts' social media accounts. You can also follow the podcast on our Facebook group at the Diz Explorers and on Twitter and Instagram at the Diz Explorers. You can download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, and also on YouTube. Thanks for listening.
Hope you had a good time. So long from Jiminy Cricket and Spectro Magic.